Good afternoon once more, colleagues. If we may just get all the councillors to come back into the chamber. Members, can you please give an indication to the caucus of the NC to come back? Seems like they're not back yet. And then I think other colleagues have managed to join us. Welcome, colleagues. We'll resume now in a few minutes. right. Thank you very much, colleagues. It seems that we are all back, with the exception of Councillor Taylor and Councillor Marishani, who are here, but I'm sure they'll join us just now. And it also seems that we have quorum with 4 plus 4, 9 people in the chamber. So we can then proceed, colleagues, so that we don't waste too much of your time. Thank you very much for the efforts made from the councillors that were at home and connecting via the online platform that somehow started giving us technical problems. We are now ready to proceed, colleagues. And as I remember, we were now on report number 2, and then the report number 2 is from Group Financial Services. The Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act, 2003, Act number 56 of 2003, in-year financial report, the monthly budget statement for the period ending 30 April 2025, with report is found on page 52 to page 88, with recommendations on page 57. I think there was an input from Councillor Peter Sutton, which is where we picked up that there was a technical glitch. Councillor Peter, if you may jump in quickly.
Thank you, Chair. I kindly just want to get clarity on the matter reported under 3.1 on the SAP and SAP for HANA system and the data strings, where it's indicated that there are some challenges synchronizing the ECC6 system with the SAP for HANA system. And the report does indicate, that the business units are working together to try and resolve this issue, but we obviously don't have timelines, and I am concerned that we seem to be behind. Well, we need to submit with this National Treasury online system. We need to report the reports there. A lot of the work now being done is doing manually. It does explain everything here. I don't want to repeat everything in the report. But it is a concern whenever we have to do stuff or generate information and reports manually. It's always a concern. And I wonder if we can just get a bit of insight to the timelines, what we are looking at, and try and get some information on that just to assess where we are with it. The SAP for HANA matter has been coming for some time now, and some more clarity as to what is written here will certainly help. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Peter. I don't know, is there anyone who then will respond to that?
Thank you, Chair. Greetings to yourself.
Okay, thank you very much.
Members of MPAC.
Proceed.
Chair, I think on our transition from ECC6 to S4HANA is still work in progress. You'll take into account, Chair, that revenue and payroll are still on ECC6 until a point in time that we are able to fully ensure that those two components have been transitioned to S4HANA. We'll then have a seamless integration on the submission of data strings. We have allocated a budget in this current financial year with shared services. We are working on the revenue module, which will take us about 12 months to run the process thoroughly. In line with our S4HANA roadmap or long-term plan, payroll will then take its place thereafter in the outer financial year. At present, we are pleased that at least the manual integration that we are currently running is yielding sufficient results. We're able to submit data strings, in fact, quality data strings to National Treasury. They are able to assess them and integrate or interact with those strings. So we do have a plan from a long-term perspective. However, the workaround that we're currently utilizing is not restricting any oversight body from playing their role upon us, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, CFO. Is there any follow-up? Are we covered? Peter? Yes, second right.
Thank you, and I do take that feedback. Thank you very much. And you didn't allude to it, but I wonder if you can maybe just give a bit of insight into the processes we're applying to make sure that the data is indeed reliable. Because what I'm reading here is the report states very clearly it's not reliable information. And that obviously can go two ways. One, data can be deliberately excluded if you don't have the correct controls, because what do we benchmark that to? The second one is we could be missing issues. Have we got, because I also know it's been previous audit findings where the AGF found us reporting to council incorrectly. What processes are applied to make sure that we get that information and that information is not deliberately omitted from any reporting or from any other information for that purpose?
Yes, CFO.
Thanks, Chair. So the workaround that we've developed, Chair, is a direct extraction from old ECC6. We are fortunate that ECC6 still belongs to SAP, and S4HANA as well. It's the same company that owns the systems and the units. So it gives us leeway in terms of the extraction and transposing it from the old system to the new system. Chair, we unbundle data from, I think that the biggest issue that we do is unbundling the data in line with the 7 M-score requirements. Unbundling data from ECC6 so that it's easily transposed into the cities GL and TB in order to enable us to compile Section 71 statements of this nature. So our ability to have these Section 71s presented at these forums is testament that the data that we have transposed from the old system to the new system has been transposed correctly. We in the event that the issues that are picked up, we do find systems or mechanisms of resolving them within the relevant time frame before we publish the Section 71 statements as well, Chair. So with the Section 71s being presented, it's an indication that the TB and the GL have been incorporated accordingly, and the data from ECC6 has been transposed credibly as well to S4. We, of course, on a monthly basis, run various system-related extracts in order to test ourselves and to audit the data that we have on board as well. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, CFO. The Teams is supposed to be off because, well, or if it's not off, you should just then become a spectator if you join by Teams. There's nothing we can do. So the Secretariat will liaise with I think Councillor Rodney, who was raising his hand on Teams. He may want to filter through his questions through the leadership of the caucus. But maybe let's not switch it off. Let's allow him to form part and parcel of the meeting for time being, but unfortunately we cannot comment because there's no audio services. Right. I think there is a hand, Councillor Matlong, and then we'll come to Councillor Katley. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yeah, this is a really continuous concern about revenue collections, especially regarding electricity and waste management. I don't know, there are always risks coming towards these two services. My question is to the department really, because it seems these continuous challenges really can be resolved. What are they doing to say that future collections, revenue collections, in terms of the two, because 657 million unfavorable collection is exorbitant, Chairperson. What are they going to do really to try to mitigate the risks? I see here it was a meter reading issue, but it's not the only risk in terms of that. What other risk? Because this is a continuous problem. What are they going to do in terms of other risks, especially in terms of mitigations? Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Councillor Matlong. We'll check Councillor Katle as the CFO and the team notes the questions.
Thanks a lot, Chairperson. Mine is just simple because the authenticity of the documents we get in council and MPEC are important. I heard the CLO saying they have processes in place to try to verify the safety because IT can also make mistakes. That's why it is good. I was happy. I was about to ask, are they auditing it? And to realize that they are auditing it, but it's important that their audit process become part of the report so that we trust the reports that come to us so that we know that it was audited when and what was the outcome of the audit. Was it favorable or not? Because you can audit only to find out that you don't get good results and then they are swept under the carpet. So in the right to get those reports, as part of the report, there should be an annexer that says that we have audited the system and we are happy with the system, and somebody should sign it off so that there's some accountability and responsibility over the process if AG flags that the reports are not accurate, so that we just deal with this matter once and for all. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much. CFO and the team.
Thanks, Chair. I think I want to close on the S4HANA related issues and then I'll touch on the revenue collection matters. Chair, I think the major issue is that we don't have the inability to transpose data. That's not an issue per se. The issue is that, as per the law, it must be a seamless integration. It can only happen at a point in time when we've got payroll as well as revenue module active on S4HANA. I think we're fully aware of the budget constraint that we have in terms of running a full-blown transition from ECC6 to S4HANA. Hence, our approach in terms of driving it on a modular basis. At present now, we are currently running the revenue model. It will take us 12 months. It will take us 12 months to fully transition to onboard all clients accordingly. Payroll will take us another 12 months, subject to budget availability at that point in time. But in the meantime, we then put systems in place to avoid a situation we were unable to report. So for the next 2 financial years, whilst we're implementing the transition from ECC6 to S4HANA, as per the roadmap that we've developed and adopted as a city, we'll be bringing up, in fact, we'll be raising this as an element of concern. But what we can give surety on is that it's a risk that is being managed. We are not, it's not severe in nature that it can disrupt our businesses. We have sufficient systems in place to manage it accordingly. That's the comfort we do want to give MPAC. And of course, there are quality certificates that we do sign off and advise the accounting officer accordingly, whom in turn does the same to structures of this nature by signing a quality certificate, is to give surety that the data that we're bringing on board has been adequately audited. We are confident in the results that we are bringing on board. We are addressing any shortcomings that are there. I think it's always prudent for us to raise the constraints that are there, but at the same time provide the solutions that we are doing to mitigate those issues. Secondly, Chair, in terms of the revenue collection issues, indeed, hence both electricity management as well as refuse or solid waste management are significant components of the city's funding plan. It focuses on reducing the distribution losses. It focuses on managing conducting waste bin audits and translating those onto the financial system, ensuring that people are billed accordingly. So these are all the key issues that we are aware of, that we are putting systems in place to fully, I think, accelerate on the revenue collection strategies that we currently have on board. It is still issues of concern that we are seeing that there has been an element of underperformance, but in line with the funding plan, Chair, we have mitigating actions that we put on board to try and deal with all the shortcomings that we've seen. A number of waste bin audits have been conducted. A waste collection operating model process plan has been developed. We are currently implementing that with a pure aim of not only reconfiguring the data verification exercise, but also trying to ensure that the waste review model is profitable in nature. So it is a long-term plan that we're currently working on. It's also part and parcel of the turnaround strategy that we put on board as we transition on establishing the waste management or solid waste management function as a business trading unit on its own as well. Thanks, Chair.
Right, thank you. Councillors, that round, are you all covered? Then I'll proceed to Councillor Mazavatela. Yes, Councillor.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, maybe, Chair, sorry. My question is now triggered by what the CFO is saying around that the funding plan is is planned around 2 two components mainly, being your waste management as well as the electricity. Obviously, there are other factors there. But, Chair, when you read the report, it reflects a lot around the fact that we are unable to hit targets because of as even the CFO has alluded, electricity losses and. But maybe if I may ask, I don't know if this is the relevant question to the CFO, but whoever can respond, City Manager. Have we started to factor in the losses that we are getting due to prolonged power outages? And if we have, to what effect have they derailed our revenue collection? And how do we intend to mitigate against it? Because there has to be a correlation between the prolonged power outages and the amount of money we are unable to collect as far as the sale of electricity is concerned. Furthermore, CFO, where are we with this funding plan? Are we meeting our targets? In terms of percentage, if maybe you can give me a rough picture. And if there are issues, what are those issues that we are unable to mitigate against? Chairperson, Jaulebo.
Thank you very much, CFO.
Thanks, Chair. Indeed, Chair, I think prolonged power outages does have an impact in terms of our revenue collection. However, there is a balance taking into account that the purchases as well are less. So there's a balancing out effect that occurs naturally by virtue of there being no power. It means the city is also not purchasing any power from the power utility, striking a balance in terms of the consumption that we have. Of course, it's not a favorable thing, taking into account that this is what we've planned all our achievements on. However, I think it gives us some comfort purely based on the less consumption aspect as well. Chair, in terms of the funding plan, it's a stretch target that we have. We have seen significant growth from the city's perspective when you look at our performance against the budget, our performance against the forecast. Since the funding plan is sitting at about 98% at present, we are monitoring our performance on a daily basis, on a bi-weekly basis from an RTTA perspective, and then quarterly basis formally to various structures of council. Thanks.
Thank you. I believe that we've then exhausted all the questions in relation to the matter in question. As recommended. Thank you. We'll go to report number 3 from the Office of the City Manager Department. A report on quarter 3 2024-2025 financial year performance review for the City Manager, Section 54A, and City Managers directly City Managers directly accountable to the City Manager, and Managers directly accountable to the City Manager. My apology. In brackets, Section 56, Managers. The report is found on page 89 to 93 with recommendations on page 93. Any else comments? Take us, okay? Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, if you look at the contents of the report, I don't see any real measurements being done, any assessment being done. We don't see if any of these have met the KPIs, etc. It's also not in the annexures. The annexures is only a attendance register. So I don't know if we can actually deal with this report. What it's stated for is it's a performance review, but I don't see any review. There's no evidence of a KPI, no evidence of have they achieved their goals in terms of the IDP, the SDVIP, challenges, corrective actions that have been done, accountability measures, etc., etc. So I don't think we can deal with this report, and it must be referred back to include what is being measured and against what is these managers being measured at. We can get a clear picture of how they are performing. I don't see any performance indicated in the report. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Siam?
Chairperson, this was a report that was requested. And the request was very specific. It was on the status of compliance. In other words, is this process being followed? That was the report that was requested. And that's why the report is in this format, to say these things are happening. So if there's another report, there's going to be a new report that is going to be requested on the basis of the comments that were just made. So I'm just explaining why the report is in this format. Thank you, Chairperson.
Mr. Mayor, do you have any follow-up? And then we'll follow through with Councillor Matsibatela.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I do have a follow-up here. Then the report, the header of the report should be a performance review for the city manager. Then it should have been something like the process is followed, that the correct process has been followed. So then the content doesn't speak to the heading of the report, then that must be changed. But I believe we need to see the performance reviews. It's a requirement that we need to see as impact as well. I hope it's clear what I've asked and what I've stated.
Concerns are noted, and then CM will just club them together and then with a possible solution to the issue, because we may need to agree on what is the way forward.
Yeah, Skalo,
Yes.
I'm worried with the response of the city manager. It can be. Even if the request was to show a compliance indication, still it must then be able to then say, when we were having these performance meetings, as part of the compliance, this is what we were measuring. This is what was expected of Section 56 Manager A. This is the meeting we held, and this is what came out of it. You know, because what we are seeing in front of us is just ink on paper. It's literally, we are practicing how to read English. It has no meaning. So, Chair, I think what we are seeing here is just malicious compliance from the administration. I would request that, Councillor Mayor, your first initial input be recorded as recommendations for the returning of this report. So we take it back, and it must come back with what Councillor Mayor has indicated as part of the returning report. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, Councillor Tsepo.
If you go to page 90 of the report, there's a statement there, paragraph 2, that speaks to the performance, because what would inform training would be the performance of the senior managers. And I don't know how to point it. Either we request a follow-up report that seeks more information on the information given. You get my point? So that we get a follow-up report that says that we need further information on the content of the report. So that sometimes we will have to do work and work on certain reports and process them. But we can't always keep taking reports back. But we can request a follow-up report that will speak to A, B, C on the report, and then until we get more clarity on other content. Because page 90, it speaks to performance review for senior managers serves as a vital tool for measuring results and driving accountability, fostering development, aligning efforts with strategic goals, and ensuring good governance. and it just speaks to what you are talking about, but it's just that it's not explicit. If it was more explicit to say, these are the tools, so that's how they have performed. Maybe there was supposed to be a column somewhere that shows manager A performance and KP percentages and things like that. Maybe the members were looking for more information on that, and the report was not so explicit as far as that is concerned, so that they can zoom in the performance of each member, and so they understand the status quo of the quality of membership that we have. And then I think that's what they need. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. CM?
Yes, that is much clearer. We can provide that report up to this quarter 3. Thank you, Chairman.
All right. So it seems then that the House is in agreement that the report does not have enough meat. And if we just have to process it for the sake of it, we just need to tick box. But it will actually not assist us in the long run. So we know you were put under pressure, but equally, the report needs to come to MPEC with some form of purpose and should have sufficient meat for us to be able to then determine what is the point of the report to start with. And if the heading of the report plus what's contained in the report don't also speak to each other, then, or you find that it's not going far enough, and it becomes a bit pointless. So we'll then send it back, CM, so that we can deal with that issue that is raised by colleagues, that this seems to be bordering on the very thin line of malicious compliance and compliance. But let's go and try and work on it so that the committee can be comfortable with those Section 56 managers. Colleagues, it's fine, the report is sent back. And then our office will be in touch to deal with some of the issues, should there be any. We'll then move to report number 4, the permission of the House. Report number 4 is from the City Strategy and Organizational Performance Department, Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act, number 52. D of quarter 3 report on implementation of the service delivery and budget implementation plan, SDBIP. The report is found on page 94 to page 436 with recommendations on page 106. Any comments or questions on the report in question, which is number 4, SDBIP? Okay, Councillor Matsibatela.
Maybe it's on meeting procedure, Chairperson. I'm sorry if I'm taking a meeting back.
Yeah, no, it's not a problem. Let's go.
I would have, I would have thought that maybe we would allow the administration to present their reports first, and instead of you taking ownership of the report, and then we can then proceed to ask them a question. I don't know. If
No.
that's how you would want to run the meeting, it's fine. But
Okay, thank you. So then the suggestion is that once we open the report, then we allow the administration to deal with it. But if that's a bit of a change on how it's done, I get it. Sometimes we want fresh ideas on the table on how things should be done. But maybe Councillor Tsepo, then CM will come at the end so that you are able to club everything together, should there be a need to.
Yeah, the challenge is that, Chairperson, it makes the meeting very long, because presentations can take 30 minutes, 15 minutes, sometimes an hour. So it becomes a challenge. So we can spend the whole day, so even forget what we wanted to ask because of long, lengthy presentations, and then sometimes they defeat even the purpose. So that's why we would have those sessions, Chairperson, where committees come and do presentations specifically, we choose one by one to say, can you come and present on this matter? And we spend the whole day there listening to one person without dwelling much into issues. Thanks a lot.
I'm fine, Chairperson. I was just.
Yeah. So I do get it. It's an appealing request. But sometimes, unless you are particularly interested in a certain report, then we may then make an exception depending on what is it that we're looking for in relation to that. But then you have a snapshot to say, look, on this particular report, I just need you to elaborate further on this and that, and then, of course, then the executive will then be able to go in detail in relation to that component. But, of course, this report, it ranges between 94 and 436, so if we had to present it, we're definitely not finishing today. Are you covered, CM? Are you comfortable? Thank you. So, any questions, colleagues, or comments on the report in question or before us? Yes, leadership. My apology, I'm a bit short. Must bring a couch or bargain a pillow or something.
Thanks again, Chairperson. Yeah. Just in terms of this report, really, the concern is just about continuous underperformance, especially regarding the housing Tswane company. Also TIDA. Tswane Event Center has been sitting there for 4 years without being used. Infrastructure is vandalized. And there's no maintenance in that regard, really. And this is a center that can really bring additional revenue for the city. As for the HCT, 24% underperformance. I think they can improve further. It's not a question, really. It's just to say, where can they improve, really, to improve their performance? Because 24% as a city entity, entrusted with really running the infrastructure and housing entities of the city, I think it's really totally unacceptable, really. They should improve, really. Maybe they can comment further as to why this continuous underperformance. Thanks.
Thank you, Dr. Matlong. Sepo, and then we'll then proceed to get the response from the city.
Thank you, Chairperson. As far as Q3 capital project in the city of Tshwane performance, only 45% reached their targets, and we have 54 that did not reach their target. We have one that was discontinued. I wonder, where is our strength or weakness? Are we doing a SWOT analysis there to check why are we failing as far as project management is concerned? And I feel like the delays, we are losing a lot of money as a city. Is it the consultant part? Is the planning? I'll use one example. There's a project in my ward. When they started digging, suddenly they found the stone. The consultant, when they were checking and paying for the project, didn't they identify that stone? Was it identified during the project? Or when the consultants were planning and doing this geotech and all those technologies, why didn't they identify that stone before the project commenced? And, we're having so many technicalities. So our internal capacity, CM, I don't know how strong is it. And the accountability of the consultant that we use, even the contractors that we use, our contact management, I don't know if it's strong enough to get our project going and, and also strengthening even councillors, public consultations, making sure that all the challenges that we have with project stoppages and everything, can't we see to it that as a city, we really do something and start digging deep in making sure that we have smooth running projects that will start and end in the right time and without having extra money. What we plan, if we say the project is 50, it must remain 50. But with our project, they end up becoming 100 and something because there will always be challenges while the project is running. That was not identified when we were planning. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, CM and the team. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand, Councillor Mazwede.
Yeah, maybe let me coin mine differently from what Councillor Zille is saying. Sorry, Councillor Tsepo Katle is saying. You see the previous report, CM, then is able to tell us with this current report. What Councillor Katle says is we are having poor performance in terms of hitting our targets. What are your managers doing? So the previous report would have been able to tell us where our shortcomings and where our failures are. Having said that, Chair, when you look at 4.11, there are other reasons that are being written there. And CM, you know, what would be good is, you see the issues of natural things such as weather inclement, you know, there's nothing we can do about it. But where they say delays due to appointment, whether it's personnel or contractors, then it's an indictment on your administration. And it's something that you, as the accounting officer, must then take responsibility of. We must at all times avoid any non-performance due to the city's processes. It's okay when we have weather issues. It's okay for me if maybe, you know, a project is delayed due to the 30% gang and you know, it's outside our mandate or our abilities to control those issues. But once it starts saying delays in contract appointments, delays in personnel recruitment, then I start to take exception of that. And it's something that you as an accounting officer must be able to tackle, address, and remedy as soon as possible so that we are able to meet these targets. Because we must remember, as much as we are seeing numbers and targets here, these are people's lives, these are conditions that people are living in. This is a lived experience for human beings. Whether it's water not being provided on time, electricity not being provided, housing not being provided, you know, we must remember that here we are dealing with human beings. And our job and our duty and our primary responsibility is to ensure that we make their living conditions as favorable, as conducive as possible. And therefore, hitting targets must become our primary responsibility and something that we pride ourselves with. Thanks, Cal.
Thank you. Siam?
Chairperson, the comments or the response required is of necessity now going to be general. So I'm going to refer you to page 96, table 1. And I want to point out firstly that we are talking about quarter 3. We are not talking about year to date at all. So in quarter 3, we have 48 targets that were due for reporting, and the reporting that you then see is in respect of those. And the achieved was 34 out of that 48, which translated to 70, just shy of 71%. It also states in the line just below that what the difference was between that quarter 3 and the previous quarter 3. So the general reasons that were referred to, those were in general relating to that. Let's say that's 29% that we are talking about. And it is so, and I'm speaking in general, that there are processes that sometimes delay, for example, the appointment of personnel in that quarter. That is possible. But it doesn't mean that that is a reason for the entire year. So that's the point I want to make here. That we're looking at quarter three, there are things that happen. It could have started in quarter two, it ends up in quarter three. Also, something like the delays in the appointment of subcontractors, which is something that is outside of what it is that we can do as a department, but we still do monitor those. We also have a EPMU when it comes to the capital projects, and it is through that capital project management that
Councillor Mazzaratena, it seems that you are distracting the C and my apologies here. Proceed.
and it is then, for example, through that process where you'll be able to see at the end of the year, and we are very close to that report, which will also come to you, I think in the beginning of August, in the August meeting, where there will be an indication of what did we do throughout the course of the year, and just for your interest as far as capital expenditure, I know it's not relevant now, but I just wanted to contextualize this. That's the only reason I am now saying what I am saying. That as far as, for example, our capital expenditure is concerned in respect of actual payments, we are currently at 92% as of yesterday, just as an example. And that is as a result of very strict monitoring of the money that we spend on capital expenditure, because that is the main issue. And we do expect that then to improve literally day by day, because that is what we are focusing on now. The invoices get coming in and the payment of those. So we do have systems in place that monitor those on a monthly basis, and we take reports in that regard to the mayoral committee. So in general, yes, we can always perform better. That is absolutely correct. And through the years, if you just look at our performance, it should become clear that there is an improvement in us achieving not all of our targets, but certainly the majority of our targets. I want to, with your permission, Chair. With your permission, I would like the CFO just to add perhaps on the EPMU, just for purposes of, presenting a package to you, although we are just dealing with quarter three here, as I've indicated to you, with your permission.
Thank you. Proceed, CFO.
Thanks, Chair. I think the critical addition I would like to make is the implementation of projects and the status code that we've made. We meet on a weekly basis with the sole aim of tracking progress and unblocking any bottlenecks that are hindering us from reaching our goals and targets. At present, we are extremely pleased with the performance that we've reached thus far, with an actual performance of 78.4 and 92.5 in terms of commitments. So that gives us credence, Chair, that the systems that we're putting in place are really starting to yield positive results. And from now moving forward, we've also put systems in place to commence early on with procurement of new projects for the new financial year. This will help us to deal with administrative glitches that Honorable Councillor Mazzaratela was talking about earlier on. We will be able to deal with those bottlenecks, give us an earlier ability to ensure that we reach our targets earlier on. So, Chair, I think in short, just to add to the CM's submission, is that our CAPEX monitoring programs are moving smoothly and the results are starting to speak for themselves, Chair. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you very much, CFO and colleagues. I don't know if you are covered or you have a follow-up, Mr. Matsvatela, followed by David, and then Peter will then come. Then you will then answer at the end in the interest of time. Thank you.
Yeah, Chairperson, I hear what the city manager is saying, and I'm still at the page that he left me at 96 to say, city manager, I still repeat what I said. These are people's lives, and this is about improving their living conditions, and that's what we as politicians care about. The living conditions of the constituencies that we represent. So 70%, Chairperson, and I want it to be stated on record, it's not good enough. It doesn't mean that we are doing well. And I'm still repeating that we should be in better ranges of the 90s, with our targets. Like I said, as long as it's things that are within our control and processes, you must not be found wanting. You must not be found wanting. I applaud what you just said, the city manager, around 92%, but now I hear the CFO is talking about commitment. So if the 92% is based on commitment, then it does not mean actual. We will then see in the next 2 weeks if it will translate to being actual. If it does, then well done, and we appreciate that that way. If not, then again it goes back to what I said around the previous report, around the performance of your Section 56, and it remains to be seen how they are performing as far as your scorecard is concerned. So we'll look for that report when it comes with those recommendations that Councillor Mayor has put forward. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah, we'll proceed to David, and then Peter will then follow.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In previous meetings, we had discussions about the project management unit, which would be monitoring these projects. I just want to know, is the unit working now? Because these figures are a lot better than what we've seen. There seems to be more of a grasp on what's happening. So is this as a result of the EPMU?
Thank you, Councillor Peters.
I understand the complexity of these targets, and there's so much that can be withheld, from senior management what's actually happening on the ground. It's very difficult, and I do get the complexity on that. But I do think, Councillor Matsvatela made the point, we should always be concerned where the money was spent and we don't reach those targets. But what I want to ask is on page 141, I just want clarity. The line item is percentage of budget rates revenue collected. My understanding from this one, this is specific to property rates. If that can just be clarified for me, please. Because what worries me, if this is property rates, I have a concern with the 84% for Q3, and that would be an indication for me that the math is not mathing when we look at the actual revenue collection for property rates. So if I can just get clarity on that, is this only for property rates or is it something else? And then on page 43, I think one concern I always have is with the indigent registration, because there's so much spending on that as well for our conditional grant funding. And I see we are consistently and again still underperforming on indigent registration. If I can maybe just get an input on what the plan is there, because we know what the findings have been in the past with that. And as I say, a lot of our conditional grant funding, unconditional grant funding, my apologies, relates to this as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, CM and the team.
CFO, please.
Proceed, Mr. Minister.
Thanks, Ian. The first one, it makes reference to the consolidated collection rate, where we are targeting to exceed 95%. I think we've seen that in this quarter, as a result of underperformance in electricity, as well as waste management, there was a contributing factor, which led us to the 84% target. Everything. In reference to indigent registration, I think from the city's perspective, with the outreach programs that we always have, we're trying to get as many people as we can. This helps us in twofold shape, because we are able to provide that particular support from an FBS perspective, but also it then puts us in a better position to get rid of the debt collection and credit control systems that we are putting or employing on these individuals who can't afford. Yes, we always want to get as many as we can. I think we're working together with CSPS to find a plausible solution in terms of improving this in the near future, which I think this is something that's still a work in progress. But also what we want to do is that as soon as individuals are registered on indigent, it must be the right people, and the deserving individuals must receive these benefits. Hence, we're working together with water and electricity to try have restriction devices for the 100 kiloliters of water that we provide, the 100 kilowatts of electricity that we're providing, and the 12 kiloliters of water that we're providing free as well. So we need to have restriction devices that are put in place to try and ensure that we curb the support that we're bringing on board. This is something that's work in progress here, and there are systems that we're working together with the sister department that I've just mentioned now.
All right, thank you. We comfortable? No follow-ups? If not, we'll then entertain the name or the hand of Mtate Tshepo.
Chairperson, mine is to just appreciate, sometimes you come to Impact and we really take each other on. And the purpose is not that we don't like each other, it's that we love the city that we live in, and we appreciate the work that you are doing. Keep up the good work, keep trying. We're hoping that very soon we'll hit 100%. The progress that we're hearing, we're hoping on the next report we'll have it black and white on 91% and all the percentages. We really appreciate the work you're doing. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, Tshepo and colleagues. Mine in part is that we're going to, of course, it's good that we have these reports before us, but part of this report, we'll have to go to the ground and go and check whether what's on paper, it's actually what's on the ground. So you are going to find yourself in a very radical committee that's going to go and check. I think we want to request CM that we check the evaluators and other people who can assist us in terms of checking these projects, where they are, and check if the amount of money that is paid on some of those projects, it's actually, does it equate to the work that is being delivered by certain service providers? We don't want to wake up here late and we find out that there are issues in relation to payments, or what's on paper does not correlate what's on the ground. So we are going to that particular level of scrutiny next. So because we are collegial, we want to warn you nicely in advance. So we don't ambush you. So we are going to need access to those evaluators and all professionals, of course, that can come to aid us in relation to this implementation of the service delivery. So I'm sure then the colleagues will be more amenable to that, so we can go match those things with work on the ground. So if we are covered, colleagues, as recommended, thank you very much. We'll then proceed to report number 5, which is from Housing and Human Settlement Department. Report on water tankers, current service progress and expenditure breakdown for the period 1 July 2024 to December 2024. The report is found on page 437 to page 459 with recommendations on page 459. We'll then just entertain some hands and also bear in mind that there is a first supplementary report that will deal with in relation to a different department but a similar reporting line or function in this case. Right. We will then entertain the hand of the opposition wants to oppose after. I'm kidding. There's no opposition here. Let's go. That is Sebo, and then we'll then follow through with that. Thank you. Okay, Tate Marshall.
Chair, at exactly 12 minutes past 12, 9 minutes past 12, mine is 9 minutes past 12. I was driving somewhere around East Terrace coming here. In fact, I was late for that matter. And this report just made its way. Not the housing one. The housing one has been with us for a good 3 months now. And we're supposed to have matched it with this one that I'm talking about. I'm not sure how am I expected to deal with these issues now that I've received a report at about 9 minutes past 12 on my way here while I was driving. So maybe perhaps if it can be explained to me to say I was supposed to read this report while I'm driving, because I'm not driving. I drive myself coming here.
That's a touching point there at the end.
It's just unfortunate you are the chair of this committee and we're posing these questions. We were expecting this report a good 3 months ago. The last time we entertained this issue, it was last week in our meeting. Am I correct? Last week? Yes. And they only choose to submit it 50 minutes before our meeting. I'm not sure who's trying to do what.
Yeah.
And it makes our life difficult unnecessarily. We've been waiting for this report. Well, unfortunately, it was a weekend. At some instances, it was holidays. We should have started calling people a long time ago. But we were waiting. Even if it had arrived yesterday, some of us were going to give it treatment on a holiday. But somebody just chooses to give us this report very late. Very late, Chair.
Thank you.
I'm not sure who's trying to achieve what.
Thank you, Deputy
Perhaps we
Chief
must
Whip.
first get an explanation on that one. Because this is our meeting. We can simply call for a 2-3 hours caucus, then go and process this report and we come back here. But it will be like we're punishing people.
Yeah.
And that's not how we want to do things.
No, thank you, Deputy Chief Whip. I think then there may be a difference between the two departments that may need to be taken into account or cognizant, because I think if I'm not mistaken, colleagues, the report that may have came late, maybe from water and sanitation, the one for housing and human settlement, I think have been with us for 3 to 4 meetings. So your points are noted and I think they're valid. in relation to one of these two reports, unless I'm mistaken, but I believe I may be on the right track. And then the personnel responsible will have to answer from the CM all the way to the group head in question in relation to that. But then, of course, if it does not apply to a certain department, you don't have to necessarily answer to the delays that we may have then experienced on the other side, or the other, even if it's the same discipline. I think Councillor Mazabatela, you'll lead, or maybe Mazabatela, and then you'll then follow leadership.
Yeah, Chair. We also, remember, Chairperson, the last meeting, the reason why the Department of Human Settlement did not present, I think we agreed as a committee that the two reports must come together. And I think that's where the Deputy Chief Whip of Council is coming from. To say, we had said that these two reports must come together. And to our surprise, 9 minutes after 12, just a few minutes before the meeting starts, we then receive this report. It is a continued city manager, I don't know what to call it, disrespect to this committee, or just or whatever you want to call us. But we've been here for 3 months looking for this report. And it comes just a few minutes before the meeting starts. It is total disrespect to this committee. And we take serious exception to this. This committee had agreed that we want to deal with the two reports concurrently because they deal with the same service. To deal with it in one department and then later on deal with it, we felt that it was a waste of time and we wanted to deal with it together. We even postponed the meeting last week. We postponed the meeting for them so that they can comply. And we said by Friday we want the report. It still did not happen. So I don't know what does that mean, Chairperson. Maybe the city manager will explain to us. What does that exactly mean to us? A Deputy Chief Whip, maybe I want to agree with you. Maybe we should be given 3 hours to go read this report and we'll come back now. And then we deal with them together. I am tempted to agree with you. Maybe if you propose that, I might second you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Councillor Mazabatela. You are covered. No, thank you very much. Look, colleagues, it's the big issue, and please pardon us because we're dealing with the reports more or less, even if the other one has not yet been called. We're dealing with them together in a sense. We have a problem, colleagues. We have an issue of the AG that is on our neck. We have made commitments. I remember Stella made me sign a very long letter committing to the AG that now we're going to be dealing with certain matters. The issue of the water tankers becomes a problem, and it's a service that is not going away anytime soon because it's a constitutional mandate that should there be a problem, there should be a response from the city in relation to provision of water. Now, if we're not going to get proper compliance on that service, which in our view is something that is going to be very difficult to do away with, then we have a serious problem. Then it means we must be ready for another AG finding. We're continuously going to get a disclaimer in relation to the issue of water tankers, and it's becoming a problem on our side. So, equally, we have councillors that they have to then process this report. But how do they process the report if this report was sent to the secretariat or the team here around 8:30 p.m. on Friday? That's when this report was then sent through. So that brought us on the same issue of malicious compliance, because we had already drafted something on consequence management to attend to the personnel that seemingly were running away from the committee. We have a constitutional mandate, and we are going to hold everyone accountable. We are going to have to then agree on a way forward in relation to these reports. Two is that I was telling councillors that officials, they are on the clock. We must not feel guilty if we are being ambushed like this, to send certain reports back, not necessarily for them to be worked on, but to give councillors enough time to deal with this. Because we don't know what we are going to find on the other leg of this particular discipline, which is water provision through water tankers. So, as a way forward, colleagues, I would like to, maybe we will give the group head responsible, I think for water and sanitation, an opportunity to address us on why he has not been able to come to the committee and attend to this matter, and why have our reports not came before the committee, and why was it not available if the report is not there? Because you cannot be available and the report also is not available, because you are now on the payroll of the city. So maybe we'll get to that level now, and then we'll work on the way forward in terms of how do we then proceed, because we understand that the report was late, and then the water, so the housing and human settlement then always come in where they may want to come in. But System 7 we are all here to work. We must not feel guilty, colleagues. It is what it is. But at the end of the day, we can't deal with this discipline in two different meetings, and then we have inconsistencies in terms of the level of debate and engagement that we may have. Councillor Katle?
Chairperson, just to emphasize, we want to do a comparative research between this similar issue, water tank. They both deal with water tankers in a different level. Some things that we might learn in this department, we might teach us something about one department. So it's important that even when they serve in this committee, they should just, I don't know, slash something, one slash the other one, or one after the other one, but they should sit at the same time, because sometimes when you ask questions, we'll say, why is this thing happening in here, it's not happening in there? And that comparative research will assist us. That's why we want this report to serve at the same time, so that lesson learned from one report can translate to the other and be able to see there's management under the same CM here that doesn't exist in B, and why is such things not happening, and what we can improve there. We're not at that level of punishing anybody. We're at a level of trying to improve the system, try to learn from one to another, and try to see if we can transfer skills and maybe approaches and how method of doing things from one department to the other. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much, Tsepo. Yeah, maybe then the personnel they're here. I think they're here, right? Do you have anyone from water and sanitation? Oh, okay. Yeah. You may. Oh, okay. Maybe CM first, and then we'll then delegate accordingly, so we can get a grasp of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, I think we are in agreement. Reports should not be late. We have worked very hard for a number of reports, the majority of the reports to be on time, as we have agreed. This was one of the reports that were now not on time. But there are also two others that also came to you today. The one on the indigent policy, and the other one on the property rate valuation report. So municipal property rate. So yes, they can give the reasons, but I also want to avoid the situation when we get to those reports that there's a further delay where the councillors would need time to look at that, another a few hours and so on around. And my request is that if there's going to be if you're going to defer this to another time later today, that it is also those three, and that one would give enough time, whether it's 5 hours, whether it's more, it doesn't matter, for the councillors to look at those reports. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention too. That we don't come back in 3 hours and discover that there are two more. That
Yeah.
we may as well just do it all now and have a long enough deferral, Chairperson. But I would also, in all fairness, want to give my colleagues an opportunity to address you as you have requested.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chair.
thank you, CM. I think you are dealing with the logistics of today. The main concern was general avoidance of impact, non-accountability, late reports, specifically on the water tankers. The one in relation to others, it may be a different story altogether, because we wait 3 months for them. But then I get the point where you come from in terms of the suggestion on the 3-hour caucus and so on. So I think let's entertain this one of the water tankers on both departments, led by water and sanitation, followed by housing and settlement. That's if they want to comment. Because in terms of what was submitted before us, they had submitted generally or fairly on time. However, that still doesn't mean much, because no work could be done while the other leg is still outstanding. So maybe I know the MSO you had your hand up, and then we will then proceed to the department itself. But yeah, let's give you the opportunity, colleagues.
Thanks, Chair. Chair, I think for me it was about the reports and the inputs with regard to the late submissions thereof. And I would have obviously asked for your indulgence, one, with regard to reports that were submitted late, and secondly, obviously, issues that have been spoken by CM that perhaps we will also need to look at some of the areas with regard to what are the shortcomings in our reporting system, because ideally we would want to help yourself, particularly the committee, with regard to some of the process plans that we have agreed to. I'm sure you will have an appreciation that part of the engagements we had in the last week around some of these challenges were, one, the fact that we had requested colleagues to make submissions of this report on, when I'm saying short notices, on the basis that a lot of them we have had to go into the system, hence some of those reports had to come in late on Friday, and even those that you have referred to that were submitted today. So for me, it would be ideal that we also need to, on our part, just obviously have some form of engagement with colleagues especially the support team around the work that you are performing as MPEC, just to agree on a process plan in terms of some of the issues that were raised by members of MPEC. We will then ideally come back to you, especially as it relates to the reports that will be called in future, with a coordinated plan around how we will then be able to respond to some of the issues that have been raised by members of MPEC. I think with regard to other issues, I'm sure it will be those that colleagues can speak.
Thank you very much. Then the department may as well just come in and give us something that we can work with.
You are recognized.
Okay.
You can proceed.
Thanks, Chair, and good afternoon to you and to the committee. Chair, yes, we do acknowledge that the report came on Friday. And Chair, you'll remember, I don't want to go back to a number of issues there, including the request.
Sorry, colleague. If you may introduce yourself and your role currently, then maybe I believe you are two, isn't it? So that there's a bit of clarity in terms of who we are dealing with. We can be precise like that. Thank you.
Thanks, Chair. I'm Tiani Sambo, currently acting as Divisional Head for Infrastructure Provision within the Water and Sanitation. So, Chair, I was saying that we do acknowledge, yes, indeed, the report did come on Friday. I think what we had done was we had requested that we will only be submitting on Friday, and I think we had given our shortcomings in terms of extracting the financial data, Chairperson. I think going forward, Chair, we are borrowing from MSO that in terms of streamlining the processes, and these are not excuses. Within the department, we have had a number of changes, and we will really work with the Office of the MSO to assist us in streamlining our processes to ensure that mistakes like the ones that we're sitting with now, where, for instance, a request would have gone to me when it was supposed to have gone to the new acting group head. I mean, those are minor issues that through the Office of the MSO we can try and deal with your support team, Chairperson, in the committee. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. So you are acting between which period and which one?
Chairperson, I acted until end of April as group head for water and sanitation. Thank you.
And then there is another actor, later. Deliberately. Okay. Yes, you can then pass the mic. Let's hear what's happening.
Right. Afternoon, Chair. My name is Asar Sokwela. So I'm the acting group head for water and sanitation. I think as indicated by my colleague, I've started acting from last month. And the last sitting we were actually here to listen to what was required. And we did try to get the information. So just to give context of what happened last week, we did have the report, and then we had a discussion to try and merge it with the human settlement so that it becomes sort of one report. Then as a result, we realized that certain elements were not matching. And as a result, that delayed a bit in terms of analyzing the report. And then also the financials, the way that they have structured, because we are operating slightly different. So that also took some bit of time. And eventually it was decided to say, let them be separate because they are addressing, they're a little bit different in terms of how they are structured. And that also created some bit of, a delay in terms of submitting of the report. So, yeah, that's just to add to say that, yes, we are looking into making sure that we submit, obviously, our reports within the required time. It's just that with this one, yes, we had those challenges, hence the late submission. Thanks.
All right, thank you. Look, we hear you, but we are still not happy. We want to get to the bottom of this. Colleagues, please just, as I'm engaging the CM, please come up with some way forward on this. Maybe as you are refining your questions, CM, this acting arrangement, what's supposed to happen now? Because you may want to understand, or you may want to even implement consequence management on people. But at the end of the day, you've got this actor, next week is the other actor, then the other one is the new one. Because this man is literally on month 2. When we want this man, he's not going to come. Is it this one? Because if it's May, April, is it what? It's April, right? So it's May, June. Next month is July. It's finishing. you have a problem. So, what is your plan here? Why are we having people who are acting? One, two, how do we remedy this thing? Because at the end of the day, these problems are going to be there because everyone's going to always pass the buck to the next person that comes. Then at the end of the day, you can't hold anyone accountable because you will have to then dismiss everyone in the city at some point, or take consequences at some point. Because if there is no compliance and the AG keeps on sending out the findings, we have a problem. So I know the hands is a bit of a festival of hands. So maybe CM, you may want to jump in, or do you want to have he's going to forget these important questions. The questions from the chair are more important. I'm kidding. Okay, maybe let's start this side, Mablek. You've just raised now. So let's take Matsibatela, and then we'll go to Councillor Mayor, then followed by you, Councillor Zela.
Chairperson, I know you are forgetting that we are not in a festival. There's no Mablek here. On a serious note, Chairperson, I take serious offense, Chair, by what is being said by the MSO, the two actors. I am taking serious offense, and it would have been fine if people came here and said, we apologize. Don't come and blame this committee. Don't do that. Don't come and blame this committee for your failures. Don't come and blame this committee for your lack of compliance. We've been sitting with one report from one department for 3 months. It cannot be an issue of process. It cannot be an issue of a misplaced communication. It cannot be. Come here, say to us, we apologize, can we deal with this report in the next meeting? Then we are fine. But don't blame us. And I take serious exception to that, Chairperson. This committee has communicated this long in advance through the correct channels. So we are requesting that we be respected, Chairperson. If they can, they must retract all their statements. And then we seek a better solution. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Matsibatela. Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson. I don't want to repeat what Councillor Matsibatela said, but I wasn't part of the impact before, but I see there was a resolution on the 14th of May by this meeting already, where they asked for this report. So I don't know, is it being blame shifting here or what? So I believe enough time was given to the department to do this report. I mean, communication, I don't know how it was sent through, but obviously it will go through the system. But since the 14th of May, when this resolution was taken by this committee, we only received this report recently. I believe it was on Friday, it was signed by the CEO. Thanks, Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you. Zela first, and then Tsepo, then followed by you, David. Well, councillors, my apology. It seems that I'm too informal. After Councillor David, then Councillor Marshall.
No, thanks, Chairperson, and thanks, Councillor Offense, for calling Chairperson to order. I'm not Mablek. I'm Councillor Zela, Chair. No, Chair. Chair, I am disappointed. I don't have a problem with this acting because we have been complaining about acting. But Chair, a top official comes here and tells us that no, the information was sent to me when it was supposed to be sent to another acting person. These people, are they not working together? Okay, Canteen Swan, we don't have what we call handover. Why here to work? Chair, I told you, this committee is not being taken serious. When we had our discussions on the sidelines, this committee is not taken serious, colleagues. This can't be, it can't happen. So colleagues, take us serious. I think I want to echo the same sentiments by Councillor Matsibadel. I just apologize to us and let's move on. This is an insult, in fact. It can't be. We can't waste our time. We call, and I hear you, Chair. But it can't be that one department comes here and wants to report, then we postpone a meeting because of the other. There are other things that they must do, Chair. So it can't be, Chair. It can't happen, Chair. We have been undermined. Take us serious, colleagues. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Councillor David.
Thank you, Chair.
You're close, my apology. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I've just got a comment. We've got 2 reports that have come. The one that came in with the notice and the main agenda. That one put the amount for 6 months expenditure on water tankers for 110 million. And then the latest report has put an amount of 320 million for expenditure on water services. The 2 reports don't match up, so if I may diffidently suggest that we stop interrogating this because there are wide discrepancies and wait for it to be presented correctly. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Councillor David. We will take Councillor Katle and then proceed.
Thanks a lot, Chair. I'm sitting here asking myself, how do we internally without impact CM, how do you report? Do you get into your management meeting and you report verbally? So if you report in writing, why is it difficult when you ask for a report to be generated? Because it's actually going to one of your own files and taking out that information and bringing it, or are you cooking the books? Is there a report for MPEG and a report for CM, a report for MACO, a report for MPEG? What are you taking to MACO? What are you taking to your management meetings? Don't you come to meetings with reports on what has transpired throughout the term, the weekly or monthly or daily? I don't know what's the routine of what's your management style as far as routine of meetings and what. And as you work every day, don't you generate reports? Your admin, what are we doing in the city? Every day when I work water tankers, they submit receipts and what. That's a report. That's combining a report. Eventually from lower management until middle management until higher management, and that's the reporting system eventually compiles a report. So when I ask for a report, it means that there must be a file somewhere where I just go there and just collect information and bring it here. Unless if I need too much time to generate a report, then it's called cooking the books for me. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councillor Marishani, and then the department will then chip in. Thank you.
Chair, my understanding is that we've got group heads in this city, and for that matter, they are permanent. If my memory serves me well. And I'll ask a foolish question as if I'm not aware that where is the group head of this department? Because if we leave this thing of acting arrangements, and I would also like to know if these acting arrangements, are they acting arrangements with allowances and so on? If that's the case, then we've got a serious problem. Tomorrow is going to be another department. This is one key department in the city. And we can't afford to be having, for a lack of a better word, this circus. In fact, we must not accept it. We must not accept it. And I'm repeating myself. I'm foolishly asking, where is the group head of this department? What is that group head doing wherever they are? So that we can't be going on like this, Chair. It's very painful to some of us.
seated here and to get responses like responses that we've just got. It tells you that there's a problem in the department. And if we don't put our foot down to resolve these problems, Chair, we're going to have an egg on our faces as the leadership of this city. Now, here no further, Chair. Let's get an explanation. Where is the group head of this department? And wherever they are, what informs this situation? Where we are just having acting and actors left, right, and center. Perhaps maybe if we can get that explanation, it will give us some comfort. I don't want to get apologies from the responses that we have just got. To me, that is circus, and I don't accept it. And I don't expect any explanation or any apology with regards to what I've just witnessed here.
Well, thank you. I think I had said the department should come in. Maybe the head must respond. And then the department will come on the departmental issue. And why were the emails not read? And why were they not compliant? Thank you. Sia?
Chairperson, there would be acting arrangements employed in the city in order for management to happen within a particular department. So that is why they are acting positions. Part of the acting administration is for every acting person to sign a performance agreement for the time that he or she is acting. And that then happens. So that there is always accountability for what happens during the period where that individual was acting. So as far as consequences is concerned, that is being taken care of through that process, where everybody is being held accountable for what needed to happen during that period. The group head for this department is under suspension. That is why there are actions happening in this particular department at this level. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, thanks. If I may ask, under suspension since when?
Chair, I don't recall exactly when. Perhaps if Gerald is here, but it's one of the Royal file. So whenever they were suspended, this person was suspended. But I don't have a date for you because you're asking me what is the date. And I can't mislead you because I can't recall the date.
Okay. Be extremely careful here because as you are answering these questions, they are opening up a can of worms because I believe it's a paid suspension. Right? Now, if it's a paid suspension, why are we not finalizing those cases? And I know we are bordering on going out of the report, but it's a concern to the committee because we don't want to call a report on all suspensions and the detailed breakdown because okay, did I break any procedure? Well, if I broke a procedure, you may then raise a point of order. Let's hear if I broke a procedure.
Chair, I rise on Rule 38 on relevance to the report at hand. We need to focus on the report at hand, the suspensions and other issues. If we want the report, let's call for that report. For now, let's hold those that are here accountable, and they must account. And that is my stance.
Well, okay, let's entertain Katle in the interest of fairness. Councillor Katle.
Chairperson, we are trying to establish the reason why. If we are out of order, we are out of order the moment we ask the reason why the reports are not coming. And in trying to get to that bottom so that we resolve that matter, the discussion has led to the two acting officials blaming one another. So we are digging deeper into the acting because we are a performance management committee. We are not just a committee, but we are performance management. And when there's issue in the performance, it's our responsibility to dig into those issues and try to get them resolved and get reasons why, so that we can understand, so that in the future, we get our reports in time. Or we'll come here every time, we don't get reports, and it's business as usual. We might as well close shop.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Kate. You know, you are giving me an idea. It was going to be nice if I had a hammer. You know that magistrate hammer. So when I do a ruling, I move that hammer here. Because I can rule, which is good and privilege that I have. Now, I'm ruling against you. I'm ruling against you. Here is the point that, and that's why I did state that we're bordering on the issue of relevance and deviating from the report itself. Now, I'm saying to the CM that we can't have people on suspension forever, indefinitely, without the cases being concluded. Now, there are certain questions you may not be able to answer because you may not have the facts now with you, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the matter goes away, because that report is coming on the breakdowns of the salaries that we've paid on suspensions. Because there were people here, Councillor Matebatela, who've been suspended forever, and the city is not finalizing cases. Go to corporate sector now and go and find people who are suspended for 8 years. You are not going to find them. And if we're going to allow that in this city, then you'll have to get rid of some people like us. I've been concerned about that matter. It's a problem. And we are coming there, CM, on that report, on the people that are on suspension indefinitely, and how much have we lost as a city, and we made an attempt to recover what we need to recover from who we need to recover in relation to getting this thing in order. Now, there's no problem for people to litigate against the city, to say, no, I was dismissed unfairly. But to keep them hanging is not acceptable, especially if they're paid. So the question, CM, it had to do a lot with this suspension. How long have it been there for? And hence I was questioning that as we answer this, we may then call a different report altogether, just to deal with the cost of suspensions to the city. There are people who were introduced to me, Councillor Matsebadela, and they've been said to, he's been working here for long, but he's been on suspension for long since we became a councillor. Now they've been recalled to work. And I'm not advocating that you must bring people back to work, but I'm advocating that you must give people closure and then save the city money in the process. So I do get it, others as court cases, others as, but at the end of the day, we need to get there. And I was asking that because in relation to this, the person we are dealing with, if they're acting, then it goes back to this. It's difficult to hold people accountable if they are being moved around consistently in different departments. It makes it difficult. So, Councillor Peter, maybe you may come in. The CM may choose to respond or may choose not to respond. It's this prerogative, because it's a comment in relation to that. And then we're able to then go through with the response from the department. But at the heart of this thing, CM, we are coming back there. So we are not off the hook yet. And equally, as I'm saying it, I'm not saying it in a threatening manner, but I'm saying it because it's a concern of suspensions that are not being finalized, well, cases that are not finalized when people are on suspension. Thanks. You can never bite a colleague just after. I'm worried there's 8 people who is, like, how many councillors? Yes. Like 8. The CM and the team are going to forget to answer those questions. So what we can do, you can never bite immediately after he has answered. Well, if the CM have nothing to say, it's no problem, can just pass on. But I also don't want to deprive you, CM. Okay. Thank
No,
you.
Chairperson, I've nothing further to add, but I do want to, already with your permission, hand to the departments for certain issues that were raised. Thank you, Chairperson.
Yeah, thank you very much, the department.
Thank you, Chair. I think from the department, yes, without explaining further or much, yes, we did get the request sometime in May, as indicated, and we had written to the committee to ask for extension so that we could present at the end of June. From the meeting that was held last week, 2 weeks ago, it was actually said that, we need to fast track the submission of that report. Unfortunately, at that time, like we're saying, we only had last week to deal with the report, which we did from the format that we had, and we tried to merge it with the one that has been here for 3 months. And we realized the discrepancies, in terms of the formats, they were not matching. And as a result, that took a bit of a delay. So with that time, that we had been requested to put the report, considering that we had asked for the extension. So the special committee sort of, we didn't really have much time. So I think with that, I take what the committee has said, and we want to apologize in that regard for the late submission, and committing that we are doing better to make sure that we honor the times that have been set to make sure that we submit in time. So I don't want to say much, and there's been a call for apology. We do so unreservedly. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Well, unless there is someone who wants to say something that they certain.
I think I must just make this point, Chair, if you will allow me, that thank you, and I'm happy with what you said as well, Chair. I think you clarified and you qualified, why you raised that point, and I think we can all be in agreement. And this is not to put pressure on the administration to just bring people back that are on suspension. But we need to be very clear, and the city manager, and I support him. I want to say I support him because he did allude to this now. There's no excuse for a person who's in the acting position not to do their work. And we must deal with that. And the city manager did say those processes are in place. And we always go to the municipal manager because he is the person in charge, but there are other people in that pecking order as well. And they also need to be taken to task if their people are not doing their work. And we always seem to only focus here at the top 6. They're the ones that we want to get. But there are other people as well. And I think I support that. And the people must be held responsible, irrespective if they're in an acting position or not. Thank you.
Right. Deputy Chief Whip.
I intentionally kept quiet, Chair, when I was avoided. And thank you very much. The question comes back. You reiterated my point also. I asked specifically, how far are we on that matter? It can't be swept under the carpet. I even asked, are they suspended on pay? These people that are acting, are they acting on allowance also?
Because we wanted to get the gist of why are we having this circus. Truly, if somebody is acting without an allowance, and there's someone who's suspended on pay, would you blame the poor person who's acting without allowance? Check. Somebody can come here and say irrelevance, but this is relevant to us. We want to understand why work is not done on the work that we expected that it must be done in the committee. So when the CM indicated that the department, earlier on he was indicating that the relevant department on the question that I've asked will explain further. Then there was interjections, questions, and so on. Then it was an opportunity to proceed, ignoring the questions. But we're still here. So I kept quiet purposely so that I can allow the gentleman who's acting, I think it's his last month or he's left with another month. Then we're going to get another person acting. We're going to even finish the number of officials in the department on this acting scheme. Where is this issue? Are the people acting on allowance? Are they suspended on pay and all these things? Then that is going to even assist us to trigger that report that we want to ask for at a later stage. I am still there. If you want to leave me, you can leave me, members of the committee, together with the officials. I will remain here.
Councillor Municipal.
Yeah, Chair. I want to remind us why we are here and where we are on the agenda. We are on the supplementary agenda. We are dealing with a report on water tankers. I hear the urge to want to entertain things that are one in the realm of the city manager, and all of us know that what we are asking is something that is still sub judice, and there is appeals that are going on. It's there. It's in public domain. Then go read. What we need to focus on, Chair. If people want to call a report, they must call a report. But we're going to sit here, deliberate on an issue that is not part of the agenda. And so, Chair, I'm calling you to Section 35 of the rules and orders that govern these cities. That a member who speaks must direct his or her speech directly to the chairperson. But most importantly, so it's on the matter on the agenda. Let's deal with the matter on the agenda.
All right. Before we derail,
Chairperson, I'm still on the platform. Or
yeah,
unless,
I'm trying to caution and protect you.
What?
Or you don't want my protection?
Protection from who?
I'm trying to protect you because I can see there's hands. And
No, let the hands go up, Chair.
Proceed,
Yeah.
but also wrap up, my man.
Yeah, I'm wrapping up. So, Chair, I'm requesting that we go back to what we asked. One, I had requested that the two officials, the three officials, the MSO and the two actors, to one, retract their statement to this committee on the issue of process.
They did.
If they have, then it's fine. Then we then move on to then say, what do we then do with this report? Ndate Marishani had made a progressive proposal of 3-hour break to allow us to go read this. Ndate David Ferguson has indicated discrepancies already in that report. Are we sending it back? If we are, then it means we are sending 2 reports back. But let's also keep into mind that there's a department that has been coming here for 3 meetings now. 3 meetings. Sitting here for hours and hours only to be sent back. So those are things that we need to be mindful of. And I so propose, Chair, that we move on from the issue of suspension and we focus on the report at hand. And we deal with the acting. Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. Councillor Marisha Atigamo, Councillor Madzabadir, this word subjudicate, I know it's a heavy word, but it features in what you are submitting. It doesn't feature anywhere, sorry. It doesn't feature anywhere. So subjudicate deals with the merit of the case. So we can't disclose the merit of the case. So if someone had to ask, is the person suspended with pay? It's not subjudicate. That part is not. unless that is actually the focus of the investigation. So let's not throw words like just in a mix. And we have a cocktail of words like how Donald Trump operates in the US. Just use a cocktail of words just to get rid of certain people's arguments. Point is that, colleagues, Councillor Marishan and other councillors, the point is being made, and I was trying to summarize earlier that the matter in relation to the suspensions is relevant, but as you stretch it, it becomes something that's not relevant to the report. Hence, you have to always qualify it, but also not go to a different line of questioning altogether. My request here is that, colleagues, make a decision whether you are entertaining this report, yes or no. Two, Councillor Marishan, the officials are on the payroll of the city. If we are going to be put under pressure to say, no, someone has been attending meetings consistently over time, and therefore we must get rid or process the report even when we are not comfortable to process it, then it becomes a problem. And if we're then using their time, their spare time, it's a different story altogether. But the problem, like we're raising, was that the report were called so that they can be processed together. One report is late, and we also don't want to find ourselves calling a report and sending it back. And also I'm getting two different, I don't know if I put it, submissions from one caucus. One that says that go and add certain things, and then the officials took note to that. And then the same caucus says, no. But also equally, let's process this report because certain people have been here in 3 different meetings. Because I had a submission there that certain items needed to be added on the report. It was a submission. You can consult, but it was a submission. So, Councillor Marishan, I'm going to request you that you must make a call whether you want to call a report that deals with the suspension issue. It may not necessarily be limited to this, but use your own discretion. Because I would like to entertain this, but it's already 4:17. We still have a number of other items that we need to deal with. But then also, the CM seems that it did not even have a date of suspension, for instance. So he may not be able to entertain that line of questioning going forward because he did not prepare for it. But my request, colleagues, is that we have seen that there is a problem. I note the request in relation to suspensions. But let's make a call, whether we're calling a report on them or not. Then we deal with it as a separate matter. Maybe Councillor Carter will come in. And then you must also make a call whether we're dealing with this report or we're putting them in abeyance for next meeting. But the 3-hour issue, much as I can't deny you, caucus, I think it may end up becoming fruitless to deal with it at this stage. But if you then give yourself sufficient time, you may come back with a more comprehensive approach on the 2 reports. Anyway, Councillor Kato?
Chairperson, let me be clear. We are not required to be conducted. We are here at our full will. And we are here not to only ask questions, we are here to interrogate officials in this meeting. You don't know where Marishan was going. You don't know his follow-up question. And they come here with bones and they know where somebody is going while interrogating. And it's very unfair to Councillor Marishan to be subjected to this. Because at the end of the day, and if that's the approach that we're going to take, Chair, I'm a fast learner. I'll call orders the whole year until I'm out of this committee. Because of, we ask questions, we interrogate, because of, there's somewhere where Marishan was going. There's a point that Marishan wanted to reach. And Marishan has to be respected and allowed space to ask questions. And if anybody feels uncomfortable in answering the question, they must say so and give reasons. But it is important that we allow this committee to be able to ask questions. And that question is not irrelevant, it's relevant because we are interrogating why are we not getting reports in time. We have postponed this meeting from the previous meeting because of not getting reports on time. We still don't have reports on time. So we must as well stay home and sleep and not come here anymore. How are we irrelevant trying to find out why we are not getting reports? And that must not happen again, Chair. We are our own caucus and will not be subjected to this. And if our fellow councillor there, we have a culture of even calling caucus to reach consensus, but will never be subjected to this. Never. Thanks a lot.
Councillor Marishan, you still want to speak or you covered? You can speak.
Chair, my question is about the suspension of the group head and in relation to the work around the report that we are not getting from the department, or we've gotten late now. It's not in relation to other suspensions, if there are suspensions here in the city. I'm merely focusing on the current report at hand. And my questions are not responded to. I wish to ask for a follow-up question or further questions, but I did not get responses in relation to the questions that I've asked.
Right. Do you want to ask those questions again, or must just you'll qualify with other follow-up questions? Okay.
I was referring to one of the officials to take us further in as far as this matter is concerned. When you were disturbed.
Thank you. Siam, if you
It
may,
was about the pay issue and the allowances.
okay. Siam, if you may try and respond to that.
Chair, I do not have that information at hand because I was not prepared for this kind of questioning. I would want to respond in writing to the school of you on those questions. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Tsela, your response is noted. Siam, revert back.
Chair, I want to understand which questions is the city manager referring to that is going to respond in writing. I wanted to check because there are other questions that Councillor Marishan asked. So I don't think they they want a written response. So I wanted to check before I can go further. Thanks.
So, Councillor, I would rather advise you to just go further, because what is happening is that the three or so questions that Councillor Marishan asked, one, the suspension issue, the payment, whether it's with suspension or not, and then the one that deals with allowance, what the CM will answer. I think number 4 then would be the duration of the suspension, is between which period and which period in writing. So what you then can do is to follow up with yours, so you get either the answer now or you get the answer in writing. But then also then the CM will have to tell us by when. Was this, if, and that's if it's of course accepted. But okay, then you will come afterwards, Comrade Tsela. But comrades, at the end of the day, colleagues, we are now on 4:24, and I'm not threatening you with time. Someone is going to raise a matter that you are being rushed here all of a sudden. But let's be mindful of that as we proceed. Thank you.
Yes, I just want to raise this issue. CM was progressively referring the response to another official in this team. Now things have changed. CM wants to respond in written responses. And that was as a result of the energy after I asked the questions that emanated from members of the committee. Now, when we are supposed to get information, people become agitated. There is energy. Then they interject in the process. Then all of a sudden things change. Because CM was referring the remaining questions that he did not respond to another official to take us through as to where is this matter, what is happening with regards to the actings and so on. But now all of a sudden, he's changing tune to say he will respond in a written form. I don't know. I'm becoming worried that it gives me a problem because it seems as if we're not going to get anywhere with regards to this issue. We're still relevantly so on the report on water tankers. But we want to understand why do we have this problem that we're having. And it's unfortunate, I can't stand up here and force people to respond to me. But when my colleagues interject in the process, they give them loopholes to run away from responding to these questions. And I'm not taking kindly to that, Chair. I just wanted to register that point.
Well, before you, Councillor Tsepo, there is Councillor Koto that had his hand up. Unless he's covered, we'll then proceed. Yeah, let's go.
No, Chair. The reason why I wanted clarity is because I'm really surprised. Because the city manager as the head, I think he knows whether the team there is being paid or are they getting an acting allowance. That doesn't warrant a written response. I think he knows now. Like, really? Chairperson, he must know that it's a simple question because we want to know, maybe that's why people are not performing. That's why people are not giving us reports on time. That's why we have interest to know that what are the benefits. Maybe they don't have benefits, they don't even care. So are we going to wait for a written response for just a simple question like that? That's where I was going, Chair. That's why I wanted to hear what is he going to respond to. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Tsepo.
Chairperson, I'm seated here. I love reading this report. I like doing my work. I enjoy researching. I enjoy encoded report. But I'm having this reported question. And, you know, I'm starting to wonder, is this report worth reading? The quality of the report, what I will get into the report, will it be really a true reflection of what's happening in the department? And now I'm starting to get worried about what is really happening in that department. And without entertaining what is happening now here, I think with your doing oversight over the department, we'll have to zoom in and get to see what is happening and how it can be improved. Without entertaining these arguments, but in the interest of the city at large, so that we can be able to get to understand what is really transpiring in that department. Because of, we can't struggle to just get reports. And if the acting issue is a challenge, it really needs to be handled at that. And if resolving this matters quicker, it needs to be handled at that. We can't be on defense of performance, colleagues. We can't be at the defense of performance. We can't sit here, and we are a performance committee. We can't sit here and defend non-performance. And non-performance has to be signaled out, has to be highlighted, has to be addressed. And there must be commitment from whoever can fix it to fix it. And that's why we're here for. We are MPEC, a performance committee. And when we are asking performance questions, we are not out of order. And it's important that we ask, why is the department failing to report? Why did they need such a long extension? And maybe if I may guess, maybe the end of the acting equates the request. Maybe by the, I don't know, starting like April or May, June, July, maybe by July, the next actor will deal with the report. I'll be out. And then the next actor will deal with the report. I don't have to really answer questions pertaining to the report because of the complexity. But we are not there to punish anybody. We want to get to dig deep into the report, find out what's happening, recommend things to improve the performance of water and as far as water tankers is concerned. And that's why we're here. We're not here to punish anybody or hold anybody accountable. We are not yet at that level. We just want to know what's happening in there. We want to research, educate ourselves, empower ourselves, know what is happening in those two departments so that we can make recommendations and do follow-ups on those recommendations. Thanks a lot, Chair.
No, thank you, Councillor Sebo. Look, colleagues, I don't know, because I thought we were going to bring this matter to finality. And I do get it where you come from. There are points you are making that are both valid. There's CM's points that is making which are both valid, which specifications may be a bit of an issue. The general matters that I believe the CM could have easily responded to because they are general in nature. In relation to the acting, whether someone gets an allowance, yes or no. But then you've got issues of dates, which may become an issue. But then, at the end of the day, the committee should not turn into a vehicle that you don't know whether it's going forward or backward. It depends what sort of committee you want to build. I'm more of a consensus-driven chair that would like to look into points from both sides, then rule accordingly. But if you're not going to meet each other halfway on your responses, and then be considerate on either side of the house, whether you're sitting as executive, as councillors, or caucus line, then you have a problem. Councillor Peter.
Chair, thank you. In principle, I do not have a problem that Impact wants to apply its mind and get to the bottom of things. But, Chair, I'm going to ask you to and I can see you trying, but you need to bring this meeting back to focus here. Because the first thing is, I'm not happy that the city manager now needs to respond in writing, and I'll tell you why. I think it's fair, but I think there's a lot more information needed here. And I think a report is much more suitable for this case of the information that we want than the city manager responding to a few questions. Because there's also labor law. Labor law dictates many of these things. It's not a city manager who decides who gets suspended with or without pay or who pays acting allowances or not. There's other things that comes into play here. And we must also bear in mind, Chair, the fairness of the matter here, because this is not a confidential report that's in front of us. And the outcome of this discussion on this report will become public knowledge. And to put somebody like the city manager on the spot to say he must answer questions now that he didn't prepare for, that he doesn't have the information with, and in the size of this municipality, it's quite concerning that there should be a feeling that the city manager should know everything exactly on the thumbs of his fingers without consulting or having information. So I want to propose, Chair, as a way forward, that you can put this to the committee, to the councillors here, but there needs to be a report that can come to the committee with all the information. Because as I say, there's very important legal factors that also needs to be considered. It's not the decision of the officials sitting here. And also, what I want to understand with this water aspect is the reason why the information is out here can't be blamed on somebody that's on suspension. Unless that information is not on system and it's not available and it's miraculously disappeared. Then they must tell us. They must tell us in a report that the person who was suspended walked out the door and he took all the information with him and there's nothing available for us to do anything with. Because that's going to raise other serious questions. And I think we need to understand that. So for officials to say or to hint that, there's a suspension and therefore we can't prepare the information, that's very, very irregular and we need to get more detail. And if that's the case, this report must be referred back on the water tankers and they must give us the facts and the truth and they must say it in the report. But in terms of the suspension, my proposal is, Chair, that we call a report on that matter so that we can get all the information, including the different laws that dictate this process and that are applicable. Thank you.
Yeah, so colleagues, it's all good and well to want to take everyone along with you, but at some point you'll need to take decisions on what needs to happen. I don't want to come across as someone who's going to bulldoze his way through things. It's not how we operate here. But let us go to the finality of the matter. We still have matters that need to be dealt with. I hope, Councillor Tepo, you are proposing a way forward. The answers we are going to get at some point, we are going to ensure that we do move forward. Yes, Councillor Tepo.
I would like to propose a way forward. Number one, as a way forward, the two reports be referred to the next meeting of impact. Number two, there should be through yourself, CM, a discussion between the two departments, even though they're different, but there should be some inter-engagement before that impact meeting, so that they are clear of both each other's content and everything, or they should assist us as we ask questions. So it's not like then now we have to spend more time preparing it back because of the other one did not understand the other one. This is not me, this is you, and things like that. So that we have better engagement as we go forward, as they are one department. And Chair, maybe this one is for you to make sure that they are, Chairperson, we have this report sitting together, either one after the other or slash the other one. I don't know how they're going to do it, even though they're separate reports, but we need to deal with them together at the same time somehow, even though they're not integrated. Maybe they'll be able to integrate with the time that we're giving them, I'm not sure. But we need to be able to discuss them, because one simple example, CM, let's say there's a service provider in A and B at the same time. You get what I'm saying? And then you want to question what is happening. It will be a relation between the two and things like that. And so that's what we want to do. We want to be able to comparatively engage with the report and get to see why are you using the system here that are not integrated there and things like that, and so that they can be able to see that are we still one city, or is the other one uniquely addressed and this one uniquely addressed, and how can we integrate from one to B and make sure that we have a streamlined approach in water tankers, whether they're in Department A or Department B, and be able to see how we can better work with them and work on them and improve service delivery at the end of the day. Thanks a lot.
Proposal on way forward, Councillor Matsabatela.
Yeah, Chair, I want to agree with my colleague on the other side. Now we are having progress. Thanks, Peter, for bringing order. The proposal I'm seconding with an amendment to say, instead of the two departments talking to each other on comparing the reports, they must go to the Secretariat. They must guide them on to how we want the report to be done. Because even on the last meeting of July, we added further questions to the one of human settlement to say, please go and answer the following as well on top of what we've already presented. So they must go to the Secretariat to guide them as to how we want that report to be done. Because they're going to talk to each other and lie to one another, and then we're going to have a problem. So they rather go to the central point. And the central point is your office chair, and then it must be able to guide them as to how we want that report to be done. And with that amendment, I second what Councillor Katle has proposed.
All right. Now, maybe the CM must adopt this report, because there is a conjunction of two separate departments. I'm consulting here to check if it's possible that we just get it. No. Speak.
Thank you, Chair. I think it would best, like Councillor Khatle proposed, one after the other, not as one.
Okay, one after the other, and then recommendation will take into account, or separate the recommendations and stuff. Okay, that's fine. I hope you noted it, Secretariat, that they come one after the other, even on the agenda and everywhere else. Then they are coming back next meeting. Yeah, which is August. And then the CM's questions then will form part and parcel of the portion of the report that deals with water and sanitation. So, I don't know, then it means the answers that you are going to get from the CM in writing will then be noted, is it as comments or as an attachment, whichever way you feel comfortable. That's a possible way forward. Otherwise, it's a never-ending exercise. Yeah, no, thank you very much, colleagues. So, oh, yes.
Yeah. You see, like I was saying, that they must go to the secretariat. There were about extra 6 questions that we posed on the report of human settlement that were extra. So water and sanitation must go and answer those extra questions as well on their report, and then we are able to address it properly.
Yes, proceed.
Maybe just to put it in context, water and sanitation, as part of the report, must give reasons for the delay of the report. And as part of the reasons, the CM must comment on the management, the acting with questions, answering questions also on the acting arrangement and their resources that they have at their disposal for performance sake, so that we as MPEC be able to zoom into their performance also and get to see how it is. As a reason, as part of their report, it needs to be in writing also to say that we delayed in the report, as part of the report commentary, to say that reasons for the delay in the report that should have served by this time and this time and this time were ABC in writing, and also MPEC as CM to zoom into a question, a research question that is their performances related, their failure to performance related to their acting role now, so that we can zoom into it and see if we can resolve from that. Thanks.
Yeah, of course, wherever that word of Mazbatela comes in, sub judice, and there's certain questions that, for instance, if the question goes into the merit of the investigation, then it's okay in those regards. Where the matter really is neither here nor there is public knowledge, just put it as a comment. So we are not trying to get you to break any rules or any law of the city. So you just do that so that we can move forward. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. Just to find out if it's not possible from the colleagues on the other side, regarding officials that are on suspension, wouldn't it be prudent that rather we call for a separate report that deals specifically with that, as opposed to sneaking those reasons or labor-related issues into the water tankers report? So, isn't it possible maybe we propose that way forward? Thank you, Chair.
Chairperson, we're not asking a report on the suspended member who has a reason for that suspension. We are asking this question in relation to performance. Can we be understood at that level? You get my point, Chairperson? We are asking, we want to do a case study, how this acting impacts on performance. That's why we are asking this question. And that's why we want it answered in line with this report so that we understand the performance of how is it impacting in the performance of the department. Thanks a lot. And that's what we want to understand.
Colleagues, thank you. I think I had summed up the issue by saying where this thing becomes a matter that is sub judice, it may, because now the word has been thrown around everywhere. Or the matter in question, the CM, his accounting officer, he knows what to do, what to not do. So what he can't do, and he feels that legally he can't jump that particular hoop, he will do it himself. He will come and account. There's no problem with it. Us debating it amongst ourselves doesn't help, because I've given him a leeway to only be able to answer what is legally permissible in relation to what we're dealing with. The rest, colleagues, you'll have to take his finger and press the computer now to force him to do it. Because the point is that he has a legal responsibility to observe the law and make sure that it's compliant in terms of the law. Thank you. Councillor Mayor?
Chairperson, thank you. When these reports come back, can I please, can we ask that these reports align to each other so that we can compare apples with apples? If you look at the annexures that are attached to the different reports, they talk to different, they don't align. I want to see the contract which is used by water and sanitation as well. To me, that's very important. It's not an annexure. Well, the report that we received from water and sanitation, anyway, at this stage, we can't open the annexures. So, really, we need to have alignment between the two reports that we can compare. And what I think the colleagues have said as well, we want to see are certain service providers may be used by both departments, etc. To me, that's very important information that needs to be provided to us. Otherwise, we can't take a protective or a good decision on these two reports. So that's regarding information. If these two departments can just please.
Thank you. So, even the comments that were made, Councillor Mayor, in relation to other councillors, they have to be taken into consideration. And they will have to be answered in accordance where there are questions. Because then it points out to loopholes in the report. So, technically, the matter is somehow addressed to say, you just go on the YouTube or your transcripts, you just go specifically where your report was dealt with, and then you go and you answer all those questions around either councillor. So we don't necessarily then need to rehash whatever that was submitted before. Then it is then requested that the responsible personnel from the secretariat to the relevant group heads then deal with that matter at that level. Take into account all the other issues. But again, if you have other issues around that, and a more detailed report, you are free to call a report in relation either specifically to that or suspensions in general. Because either way, that report, you can't want to turn a Ford Figo into a Ferrari. Because I think what we're expecting in that report may not necessarily fit the purpose of why this original report was requested. You may look back and find that the report that you want and what was requested are two different things. And that contributes to the delays. There's no problem for you to request a report. That will deal with that. Then that report then can be dealt with in committee where necessary, and then we can dispose of it. That's just my guidance. That's why I was requesting that we rather look into that if it gets to that level, so we don't blur the lines. But it's your right as members of the committee, and I won't exercise it for you as well. You must exercise that right if you want to exercise it. Thank you very much, colleagues. We are fine. Report number 5 on the main agenda, and report number 3 on the first supplementary agenda have then are going to be sent back with all those comments to be reported back on the next meeting. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do, and then we apologize, of course, on the discrepancies that may have happened in between the two, and also that there is delays on the matter in question. That brings us, colleagues, to report number 1 and 2 plus 4 on the first supplementary agenda, and then we'll then process the report on confidential reports. The report on the first supplementary agenda would be from the Office of the City Manager Department, report on quarter 2, 2024-2025, financial year performance review for the City Manager on section 56. Did we not do this? So it's a duplication. Secretariat, this is the second consecutive duplication on our agenda. Please note that and rectify it. Unless there is something different. Councillor Mayor?
Chairperson, yes, thank you on that point. Can we please get one agenda, if possible? We've got enough time until August. I've received 3 different agendas, with 3 different indexes. I couldn't make out which report is any longer. So can the Secretariat make sure that we get one agenda with the index, with the reports in chronological order as we deal with it? Because we're trying to confuse us. Thank you.
Noted, Secretariat, we need a bit of consistency here in relation to this matter. I think the hand of the CM was up as well. Oh, you are fine. So this is a duplication or in agreement? No, second consecutive duplication. So let's get that fixed. We take your comments into. Go ahead. Yeah, thanks. And also, you need to bear in mind, Councillor Mayor, that sometimes if a report comes late, you can't delay everyone else's. So it's one of those, but we should work on minimizing that, because if the relevant personnel can submit the report on time, then you should not have this problem effectively, because then you'll just do one agenda and we proceed. But we take those comments into account, and we'll try by all means on this side. Secretariat, please try and reduce the duplications and whatever the issues may be, so that we don't find ourselves wanting. We have report number 2 on the first supplementary agenda. Is from Community and Social Development Department. Report on the approved City of Tshwane indigent policy. Come again? Yes.
Yeah, Chairperson, reports that came this morning, can we put them aside? Can't be dealing with those reports. All those reports that came this morning, it's part of that issue of water and sanitation. Okay. There are no exceptions.
No, thank you very much. So the lesson that also happened there applies there by that department. So you are not exonerated from that. Please try and do it. But of course, procedurally, I must table them so that there is a resolution per report. Unlike me just taking a decision, no, we're setting them aside. We should be able to table them. There were also issues of numbering on this particular agenda that will be taken care of. And then the fourth, so maybe before I go to that report, we're in agreement that this report will be set aside for the next meeting. Thank you. And then report number 4 on the first supplementary agenda is from Group Financial Services Department, Municipal Property Rate Evaluation Report for year 2022 to year 2023 financial year. Again, typo plus numbering of pages. Equally, we are setting this report aside for next council, right? Now, we are going to proceed to the calling of reports. Calling of reports, and then after the calling of reports, we'll then go in committee and then process all the reports. In order, right? So we're going for calling of reports. And then after reports are called, then we'll release all the officials that need not to be here. And then we then proceed in committee. Then we are not going to be coming back on live stream. Once we switch off, we are done. Okay, so let us entertain new reports that are to be called. Yes, Councillor Mayor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Maybe I missed you now, but there was another report, report number 9, report on consequence management. Are we going to refer that one to the August meeting as well?
Yeah,
Is that
Councillor
in
Mayor,
committee report?
if I'm not mistaken, this report is in committee.
Oh, it's in committee report. Thank you, yes.
Yeah, so it's another typo.
It doesn't say so specifically, but I see.
Yes, but I think it's in committee, Siam. Agreed? Thank you. We'll get the secretariat to get the house in order. Because we needed to indicate at the bottom as per the norm. Okay? Do you need a moment, colleagues? Or what's it? Okay, 5 minutes. Okay, I will entertain the CM in the meantime. CM?
Thank you, Chairperson. You have requested at the beginning of the meeting that we just indicate to you which report is not here that you called for last time. And I think I've engaged with you informally, but I need to put it formally to you. There is a report on the status of investigation on tender 02 2016/2017 by GAR. So that report was called for, but it was not. The report is still under investigation, and it would be ready for submission. If I can just get an indication, I think there was an indication of the end of the meeting in August. Is it not the beginning of August or September? It is September meeting. The report will be finalized in August, so it will be ready for the September meeting, Chairperson. So the report on the status of investigation on tender 02 2016/2017 will be submitted in September after conclusion of the investigation. And then there was a Chairperson, with your indulgence, there was a second report which was referred back. It's a report that was referred back last time because there were issues raised with certain litigation matters. I don't know if you can, Secretariat can recall. And it was that report that was the responsibility of the CFO that would be submitted in the next meeting. They were still busy finalizing that report because it's not very clear exactly which mitigations, but they are following up on that report. But it was a report that was in fact submitted last time at our last meeting, but referred back for further information.
Okay. You have someone to take us to the confidence in terms of what's happening with that report and why the delays?
The CFO.
Thank you.
CFO.
Thanks, Chair. I think we are in the process to work with legal to find the exact number, the case number, and the status of each program that's under dispute, Chair. We were unable to bring the report without the certainty of the details of the matters under consideration.
All right. So, it's the supply chain report you are referring to. Right. So, and you are pledging that. When are we getting that report?
Chair, in the next MPEC meeting, you should have the report. We'll have certainty on which program and which service provider has taken the 60 court, which has affected the second quarter SCM report. So the next MPEC session, we should have it.
Okay. Plus a number of other issues that were raised there included. Okay, so it's August. Okay. So in brief, colleagues, there were a certain number of reports that were requested from the CM and the team. They've missed the target with 2 reports. And they're reporting back. So, because I said no, they must report back in terms of what were they able to bring, what were they not able to bring. And it seems that the 2 that they have put before us and tabled before us are not yet ready. I'm not sure if there's comments on those specifically, those 2 reports specifically, so that we can move forward. If there's none, it's fine. We're able to note it and then entertain the reports in August, September. Okay, it seems that we are fine. CM, let's get the reports as soon as possible so that they can serve before the committee. Now, let's go to the calling of reports. Okay, are there no reports to be called, colleagues? Okay. Yes, Councillor Taylor.
No, thank you. I want to call a report on, in fact, the detailed report on expenditure breakdown by the seat on the 8th Metro Council for the financial years 2021, 2022, and 2022, 2023, 2023, 2024, 2024, 2025. And Chair, I think this is to promote stringent financial management and oversight, and a professional public service that promotes transparency and accountability, Chair. But just to be precise, on the report, we want the actual expenditure breakdown for each of the above mentioned financial years. And secondly, the services or programs rendered in the above mentioned financial years in order to check if there is value for money for those expenditures. Thanks, Chair. And Chair, I think I don't have, but I'll send it, a written calling of report, because I got interested when we had the discussion now here. But I'll forward it to your office regarding the suspensions in the city. How many are they? How far are they?
Maybe what we can do, you must tell us who's proposing the report.
Oh, sorry. On
Then
this
we'll
one,
go
Chair.
to the next one.
Okay, no, thanks, Chair. You know, I'm in a rush, rush. It was proposed by Councillor Zela and seconded by Councillor M.J. Marishal. Then I do call MS Marishal.
Thank you. Well, you still have plenty of time as other reports are being called, because I need to still read this report into record.
Yeah.
The legalities of us calling reports in writing, I doubt that it's in line. I once inquired about it.
Okay.
I got a legal opinion that you can't do it, but you are able to do it now. There is not a big problem if you want to do it, but if you want to do it next time, it's still not a problem. All right, thank you very much. This is a calling of a report, Section 79, Oversight Standing Committee on Public Accounts. No, we need to quickly do it. You'll read yours into record quickly.
No
The subject of the report is that the report on the detailed expenditure breakdown of or by the city on the 8th Metro Council for the financial year 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. These are 4 consecutive financial years. Motivations to promote stranger financial management oversight, professional public service that promotes transparency and accountability. And what must be reported is that 1, the actual expenditure breakdown for each above mentioned financial years. 2, the services or programs rendered in the above mentioned financial years in order to check if there is value for money for those expenditures. The report is directed at the Department of Health, and it's proposed by Councillor Kototsela and seconded by Councillor Marshall. Thank you. The second one.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chair. The second one is the calling of a report on Section 79 Oversight Committee, Public Accounts today. The subject is the report on the city current operational and capital project and the expenditure breakdown for the period of 1 July 2023 to 31st June 2024, as well as that of the 1st July 2024 to 31st of June 2025. The motivation is taken note in terms of irregularities that were raised by the AGSA for the 2023/2024 financial and the current, concerning the trend in which the city departments are struggling to meet the acceptance of SDP targets, looking at the year-to-date for the 3rd quarter of the financial year 2024-25, and on the quarter 3 report, implementation of the SBIT about the 104 and of the 190 capital projects had their targeted milestone delayed or not achieved. And Chair, what must be reported on is the list of all operational and capital projects in the city, the procurement processes of all operational and capital projects, the expenditure breakdown of all active operational and capital projects. Number 4, the progress on the status of all operational and capital projects. This report must come from the office of the CFO. It is proposed by Councillor Matonsela and seconded by Councillor Tse.
Yeah, thank you very much. As the Secretariat assists us, and then we'll entertain your hand just shortly after. Thank you very much, colleagues. In the interest of time, I'll read the subject line into record. There's a proper trade here. And of course, something is captured verbally there into the system. So it's dated the 17th of June 2025. The report on the city's current operational and capital project expenditure breakdown for the period 1 July 2023 to 31st June 2024, as well as that of 1 July 2024 to 31st June 2025. The report was directed at the Office of the Chief Financial Officer by Councillor Madonsela, seconded by Councillor Kotso Tsela. Third hand, yes.
Okay, thanks, Chairperson. I hereby call a report on the expenditure of community-oriented substance use programs, COSUP in short, in partnership with the University of Pretoria. The motivation for this report is that it wants to promote stringent financial management oversight, a professional public service that promotes transparency and accountability, provision of good governance, to promote the quality of life of individuals and families affected by this substance abuse. What we need to be reported on is that the partnership between the city and the University of Pretoria, the detailed breakdown of the programs they have and still providing, the expenditure breakdown of the entire project, and the money specifically spent by the city and other partners on the project. A list of all sponsorships and donations acquired throughout the program. The list of assets utilized, procured or owned throughout the project. A list of regional-based sites used to provide these services. Database of the victims assisted by this program and the success thereof. This report is directed to the Department of Health. Thanks, Chairperson. It's proposed by myself, Councillor Malesela Matou, and then seconded by Councillor Kotso Tsela.
Thank you. Right, thank you, colleagues. I'll read the subject line into the record. This is the calling of report, the MPEC meeting dated the 17th of June 2025. Subject is calling of a report on the city's expenditure on the Community-Oriented Substance Use Program, COSUP program, in partnership with the University of Pretoria. The report is directed at the Department of Health. Councillor Malesela is a proposer. Not Matou, my apology. Malesela Matou, and seconded by Councillor Kotso Tsela. Okay, are we comfortable with reports, colleagues? Right.
Yeah, maybe just a correction.
Yes.
That report shall set from CFO, from EPMU in group finance.
Which one, if I may be?
The one that I called on.
Is it the OPEX and CAPEX?
Yes.
I hear that is the same thing.
Sure.
Oh, fine.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
Or say fine.
Okay.
Sure.
CM?
EPMU.
DPMU. CM?
Chairperson, exactly on that report, the report is also calling for activities that must still take place, because it speaks right up to the end of current financial year. So there must still be reports generated just dealing with that part. But it's not only CapEx, it specifically also made mention of all operational projects. Now there are hundreds of those as well. So it is a very, very, very serious report, and it will, just by my conservative estimate, cannot be ready for the next meeting. It will probably only be ready after the end of the first quarter, because it's normally at the end of the first quarter that we can report on the fourth quarter, which is what this report also anticipates. So this report must be for the impact meeting in the second quarter of 25-26. That is my most optimistic, simply because also it's just a bigger report than would be normal, because it spans 2 financial years.
If I may pick your brains in relation to the department issue, we note that, that's fine.
It would be the CFO, because of all of the information that would be required, because it would also be financial, and it will also then come from that. So it would be simpler just to say the CFO. It will be a cooperation between the CFO and a number of other departments, because it's so wide. It's not only just CapEx.
No, understood. That's fine. I think we're just calling a report. I don't think we're prescriptive in terms of when it should serve. And of course, we'll take that into account when we deal with the process plan in the next coming meetings. Then we may want to factor into that. Of course, you're also allowed to indicate that in that meeting when we deal with the process plan, to say, look, this matter, be careful, don't schedule it earlier, and then we start lambasting people and so on and so on. But I do also appreciate the amount of information requested in relation to that. But yeah. All right, it seems that we are fine going once, going twice. Thank you very much, colleagues. So, colleagues, we are now going to go in committee. The time now is 17:18. We will then be back at 17:30. Just a body break, and then we can then allow the guys to switch off the streaming who are not coming back. Thank you very much for joining part of today's meeting.